What if I told you that luxury cars are not really about cars? Because most people think when millionaires buy a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce, it's just to show off. But that idea is way too simple and honestly completely wrong. Because what's really happening goes much deeper. Something psychological, something strategic, something that slowly turns into an obsession. And once you understand it, you stop seeing these cars as machines and start seeing them as signals. Let me explain, because this doesn't start when they have money. It starts way before that, when they're still broke, still unknown, still trying to figure things out, scrolling through videos, watching lifestyles they don't live yet, seeing cars they can't afford. And without realizing it, they attach meaning to those cars. Not just metal, not just speed, but a symbol of escape, a symbol of success, a symbol that says one day I'm not going to be average anymore. And here's the interesting part. That emotional connection doesn't disappear when the money arrives. It actually gets stronger, because now the dream is within reach. Now it's possible. Now it's real. And when they finally buy that first luxury car, there's a moment, a very specific moment, where everything feels different. The sound of the engine, the way people look at them, the way they feel sitting inside it. And for a second, it feels like they made it, like they crossed into a different world. But that feeling doesn't last as long as they expect, and that's where the real game begins, because humans adapt fast. What feels incredible today becomes normal tomorrow, and once that happens, the question changes. It's no longer, can I afford it? Now it becomes, what's next? What's faster? What's rarer? What's more exclusive? Because in that world, there is always another level and someone already at that level. And this is where most people don't understand what's really happening, because from the outside, it looks like they're just buying more cars. But from the inside, it feels like they're moving up, like they're progressing, like they're getting closer to something, even if they can't fully explain what that something is. Now, think about this. You see someone pull up in a supercar, and instantly everyone notices. No introduction, no explanation, just presence. That's not random. That's how human perception works. We judge quickly, we associate signals with meaning, and luxury cars are one of the fastest ways to communicate status without saying a word. Before they even step out, people already assume success, money, power. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because some millionaires don't even care about cars like that. For them, it's not passion, it's strategy. They understand that perception creates opportunity, that the way people see you changes how they interact with you, and that changes everything. Conversations, access, deals, connections. Imagine arriving at the same place in two different scenarios. Same person, same clothes, same mindset. But in one, you arrive in a normal car and nobody notices. You walk in and you blend in. In the other, you arrive in a high-end luxury car, and before you even step out, people are already looking, already curious, already interested. Nothing about you changed except the signal you sent. And that's the part most people underestimate. It's not about the car itself, it's about what the car does to perception. And perception in high-level environments is everything. Because people don't always ask questions. They observe, they read signals, they make assumptions. And those assumptions open or close doors instantly. Once they experience that shift, it becomes very hard to ignore, because now they've seen what's possible, they've felt the difference, and that feeling goes beyond logic. It hits something deeper, something emotional, something tied to validation and recognition, and that's where it starts becoming addictive. Not just the driving, not just the speed, but the reaction, the attention, the subtle changes in how people treat them, how conversations start faster, how respect appears quicker, how opportunities seem to come easier. And once you connect that to a specific object, in this case a car, your brain starts linking that object to reward. And when something becomes associated with reward, repetition follows. So they upgrade. They look for something better, something rarer, something that gives them that same or stronger reaction. Because now it's not just about owning a luxury car, it's about maintaining a certain level. And in that world, maintaining your level is everything, because there's always someone watching, always someone comparing, always a silent competition happening. Not loud, not obvious, but always present. Who has the newest model? Who got access first? Who owns something limited, something exclusive, something others can't easily get? And without realizing it, they enter a game where the rules are never clearly stated, but everyone understands them. A game of status, perception, and positioning, and cars become one of the main tools to play that game. Over time, something else starts happening, something more subtle but even more powerful. Their identity begins to shift. Because when you consistently surround yourself with high-level symbols, you start to see yourself at that level. You start to expect more. You start to operate differently, not just externally, but internally. And that internal shift can be powerful. It can push you to grow, to expand, to aim higher. But it also comes with pressure. Because once you reach a certain level, staying there becomes part of the challenge, and dropping below it feels like losing, even if logically it isn't. So the upgrades continue, not always out of desire, but sometimes out of necessity. Not physical necessity, but psychological necessity. Maintaining the image, maintaining the perception, maintaining the version of themselves they've built. And here's the hidden truth that almost nobody talks about. At some point, it stops being about enjoyment and starts being about identity, about who they are in the eyes of others and in their own mind. Because the car is no longer just something they own, it becomes part of how they define themselves. And when something becomes part of your identity, letting go of it becomes difficult, even if it no longer brings the same satisfaction it once did, because now it's tied to how you see yourself and how the world sees you. That's why the obsession doesn't fade. It evolves, it changes form, it becomes more subtle, more complex, less about excitement and more about alignment with a certain image, a certain standard, a certain lifestyle. So when you see a luxury car, you're not just looking at a machine, you're looking at a story, a process, a mix of ambition, psychology, strategy, and emotion all combined into one object, something that represents far more than its price tag. And that's why millionaires are obsessed with luxury cars, not because of what they are physically, but because of what they represent mentally, emotionally, and socially. Because in their world, perception shapes reality, and luxury cars are one of the most powerful tools to control that perception. And once you understand that, you realize it was never just about driving, not even close. It was always about what driving that car says without saying anything at all.